Welcome to Elden Root in the year of 390, Third Era, and 1994 AD. And here's Mirielle's welcome wagon.
You have survived the tests most dire. Continue along this path, however, and you will face such things as to make your very heart freeze. I will save you the ordeal, for my servants approach you even now from your mangled corpse. I will take what is mine!
I think it's pretty clear that the voice actors had to read from the exact screen the player is looking at, and they got one take. Oh hey, Tharn sent 2 things for me to one-shot this time. Anyhow, time for Mirielle to rest her weary bones after traveling for nearly 2 months. She's so tired she doesn't seem to remember how doors work. Welcome to the only tavern in the entire game that actually has a cool name. But that proprietor is by far the strangest looking wood elf I've ever seen. In the morning she sets out into a beautiful sunny spring day. And she lucks out, because the very first random stranger she talks to happens to be an assistant to Queen Ulandra's head chef. Now, Palagorn here is always hanging around the palace listening to that hot goss. So he knows that if anybody knows where Elden Grove is, it's got to be Queen Ulandra. So off Mirielle is going to go to find the palace. And can I just say how delighted she is to be here? Elden Root looks nothing like it did in the Second Era, but gosh, it's so colorful and welcoming and warm after the frigid disaster that was Winterhold. This is like heaven. Ah, here are the palace gates. But Mirielle's having that door problem again. Now you may be about to say that Queen Ulandra is a dead ringer for Queen Blubanka of Rehad, but you'd be wrong. Her hair totally covers a pair of super pointy ears, and what you can't see from her text is that she actually has a really nifty accent, like the ESO Wood Elves. That is in no way some random American's attempt at Cockney.
Alarian, greatest of our law masters, found bodies of our people sucked dry of all fluid. We are not a fighting people, we have no standing army.
Etc., etc. This is kind of nice because it's a departure from the last couple of, oh, we need this one piece to find the information that will lead you to the thing. Oh no, it's just like a favor for a favor, straight up. So that's a little bit refreshing. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to a new feature of Arena, which is the Artifact Quest. The way you start an Artifact Quest in Arena is you go into town and ask NPCs for general rumors. If the NPC has any response to that other than, I haven't heard anything, that means that if you ask enough times, eventually they're going to point you to an Artifact Quest. It just so happens that on this playthrough, the first artifact quest I came across is incredibly personally relevant to Mirielle. If you don't remember all of my headcanoning in the first episode, allow me to remind you that her family was raised to nobility 7 centuries ago because supposedly her ancestor, Alexander Valcourt, played some vital part in defeating the schemes of this very Manamarca whose amulet is now supposedly up for grabs. This is surprisingly similar to some of the side quests that appear in later Elder Scrolls games, where you go through a long, complicated process in order to acquire some powerful relic or other. In this case, you go to a certain tavern and find a certain guy who has certain information. Now, he's so drunk he forgets it's an amulet, but trust me, it's an amulet. You have to pay him just to find out where to go, to find the map to where the amulet is. I do like that this disreputable drunk is someone who used to be of a noble High Rock family. Mirielle probably knows exactly which family he's talking about, but of course she can't say anything. It looks like she'll be traveling back to her homeland if she wants to pursue this rumor. But the situation with Celine sounds pretty time sensitive, what with severed heads being sent as warnings and all, so first she's going to take care of that. Well, first she's going to go running gleefully through the Valenwood countryside because it's springtime and the weather is beautiful and Valenwood is beautiful, and this devotee of Debella is pretty overdue for some beauty in her life. Eventually, though, it's back to work. Celine's web is not far from Elden Root. This dank, moldy corridor leads into Celine's web. The smell of wet earth lingers in the air. A little light spell will make it a little less creepy. Let's talk about Celine. Remember Vanus Galerian, the founder of the Mages Guild? Well, around 1,000 years ago, he was trying to establish the guild in Elden Root. The Sylvanar, sort of the spiritual leader of Valenwood, was way too polite to just say, "Jog on." So he's like, "Oh, alright, but first you should go explore this uncharted territory right over there." Next thing you know, Galerian and his mages get caught by Celine. They make a deal with her. She'll let them go if they get the Wood Elves and the Mages Guild to agree never to bother her again. And they agree. Cut to a couple centuries later, when Warlock Corindon of the Mages Guild decides to go bother Celine by stealing her soul. Then one day a dragon escapes from a place called the Halls of Colossus and starts spreading a blight. Corindon's like, "Oh no, Celine's soul, help us." Celine's soul is like, "If you let me free." And he's like, "Sure." And then she helps and he's like, "JK, I'm keeping you." But then some people interfere and she gets free again, and apparently spends 2 centuries plotting revenge on the Wood Elves. So I'm definitely curious if anyone but me found this gibberish in the descriptive text place at this part of the dungeon. I've just decided it's a spider emoji. So the rooms in this dungeon are arranged in a sort of spiral pattern to suggest a spider's web. Thematic, but not conducive to efficient exploring. Toward the center of the right half, you come to a small arena. Hey, that's the name of the game. It's surrounded by water and something glitters on one of the islands, but it doesn't tell you which one, and they're all full of spiders. Here's what my new shock spell looks like, by the way. It paralyzes things, which can make it pretty hard to tell if they're dead, but they usually are. It does crazy damage. So here's the glittery thing. it is a key, which is not only really hard to see since it's gold on light brown, but it's also maddeningly difficult to target. I'm picturing Mirielle trying to pick it up, but it's like covered in slime and keeps slipping out of her hands. That's the island it was on, if you're curious. Oddly, this small passage bears marks of heavy use. That's probably a clue that it leads somewhere important. Like maybe level 2 of this dungeon, and therefore the Heart of Selene? Hey, good thing we have that slimy gold key on us, huh? The second level of this dungeon is by far a bigger pain in the tail to get around than the first one. Tunnels and water everywhere. This is a homunculus. Once I'm finished using him as a magic battery, I'm gonna paralyze him. So now he's hovering in the air, on fire, and dead. See this maddening smidgen of wall between us and our goal? Perfect opportunity for use of the pass wall spell we bought. Ta-da! I've made us a new hallway. Each use of the spell lets you destroy 3 blocks of wall, so we can take out some more annoying ones. Now we're free to explore this direction, and we find a door that leads to this training area. Training apparently just means kill endless spiders, so you know what? I'm not gonna. A magically held lock. Let's try the open spell. Woot. Oh, diamond-studded lock. We never found the key, but hey, guess what? It doesn't matter. We've got the Heart of Selene. Look, lady, this time you asked to get your soul stolen. You started with all the head severing and stuff. Now we're back in Elden Root in the middle of the night, but there's someone standing out here? Wow, Caradel Bluethorn, I like you. I'd buy some of your stuff if the game gave me that option. Hard at work, hawking his wares at 20 minutes to midnight? Okay. Mirielle wakes up the next morning with an ancient and powerful sorceress's soul still tucked away in her knapsack, ready to venture out into another beautiful Valenwood spring day. And hey, that looks suspiciously like Caradel Bluethorn, seller of stuff. It is him! Wow, when does this guy sleep? Anyway, back to Queen Ulandra. who is now going to tell me how to get to Elden Grove. This part of our quest isn't as time sensitive. We've already spent months trying to piece this stuff back together, and we're not even halfway there, so now is as good a time as any for Mirielle to take a little detour and try to find the map to Manamarco's amulet. The nearest city to the labyrinth of is Wayrest. Wayrest has the distinction of appearing in 5 different Elder Scrolls games. It's a slightly younger city than Daggerfall, but it quickly rose to be a center of commerce and Daggerfall's biggest rival in population and reputation. In the Third Era, Wayrest hasn't lost any of its business savvy. Look at this, an inn right next to the city gates. Other cities, please look to Wayrest as an example. So here we are in the labyrinth of It is now summertime, by the way. This is a very basic dungeon, so there's not much to see. We just follow the left wall. Follow the left wall, follow the left wall. Until we eventually find our way to level 2. And then we explore some more. Wait, is that another blue dot? Okay, there's a level 3. That's fine, it's a pretty important quest. So you'd expect that there might be a bit more. What? Okay, so there's a level 4. And that's all, just 4 levels. But this level has tunnels, which are a pain in the neck, and at some point I looked at the map and I thought, I've been in every room of this thing, and I have found no map. So I had to go back and re-explore each area in case it was really hard to see, like that slimy key in Celine's web, and I put an X in each room that I revisited. But do you see the room I missed? How good are your map reading skills? There was one room I hadn't even been in yet. It just looked like I had because the map reveals itself in a small area around everywhere you explore. I had never actually gone through this tunnel here. There it is, clear as day. Back in Eldenroot, Mirielle stops to chat with her friend, Caradel Bluethorn, who, even after her long absence, is still at his post. Oh wow, how helpful. Actually, I could stand to know where the nearest store is right now. Got a lot of stuff to sell. Okay. Thanks, Caradel. Once she sells all her excess gear, Mirielle sets off toward Elden Grove, which weirdly is not all that near Eldenroot. Elden Grove is supposedly the birthplace of the Elden Tree, the first tree, the mother of all the forests in Valenwood. So my favorite interpretation is that this tree is the same great walking tree that once held the city of Falinesti in its branches. That would explain some of the geographical weirdness and uncertainty surrounding all this lore. Enter Elden Grove, chilled by the mists that lend perpetual gloom to this melancholy place. You can hear things shuffling through the overgrowth and distant growling and moaning that does not sound human at all. This dungeon is a little different from the ones we've been in, because the first level of it is actually outdoors. It gives it a bit of a different feel, very misty and creepy. The ghosts especially look really creepy to me in the fog. Killing this one gets us to level 15. Wow. All of our scores are at least average at this point, so now we're just gonna max out luck. Why not? If you follow the left wall in this maze of hedges, you will eventually come to the entrance of the underground part of this dungeon. It can look a little confusing in here at first, because up ahead it looks like a dead end, but there's actually a trench you can use to proceed. See the trench there? The most unique feature of Elden Grove are the boats. When you click on one, you actually enter the boat, and you have to hit J to exit. But counterintuitively, it seems you cannot exit the boat if it's right up next to land. So I spent a lot of time rowing around in circles until I figured that out. But using these boats really speeds up your navigation of this dungeon. Now this door here, we actually passed on the way in, but it's invisible and can't be opened from that side. You can only use it to get out, and only then if you answer an extremely obvious and unnecessarily long riddle. I mean, come on, though my pace is even, men curse my speed, wishing I were lazier in their hour of need, etc., etc. Wow, it can even fly! What could it possibly be? Yeah, it's time. So now you can leave and come back through that door as you wish. This, by the way, is where I figured out how to get out of the boat when I was getting my butt kicked by a couple of ghosts. So as you can see here, there is a lot of water to navigate to eventually get to this little platform here, which I awesomely levitated over the water to. This riddle actually took me a few times to guess correctly. My second is performed by my first, and it is thought a thief by the marks of my hole might be caught. It wasn't fingerprint, it wasn't footprint, it was footsteps. Three pieces of the staff of chaos now. Okay, let's take a nap so Rhea can come and murmur really unhelpful advice under excessively loud harp music.
You have done well. I have thought it belonged to me. The third piece of the land for ages. It is said that the halls of Colossus sat perched on a cliff overlooking the Great Divide, which is along the southern edge of Tamriel. Perhaps the halls are near that coastline. I only wish I could offer you more. Fare thee well, my friend, and find this place for the sake of our loved ones.
When Mirielle gets back to Eldenroot, it's autumn already. She's officially been on this quest for an entire year. Oh, let's see what Caradel Bluethorn Esquire knows about the halls of Colossus. Okay. Mirielle needs a nap. And so do I. See you next time.